welcome back to another edition of Happy Camper Arts and Crafts. Woo-hoo. This week we are traveling far, far away from Texas all the way over to the Middle East. And I have never visited the Middle East, nor am I an expert on the Middle East. So I have looked up some fun facts about the Middle East, but don't ask me any questions because I probably won't know the answer.
I'm going to ask her one question.
Yeah. Okay, so for this week's arts and crafts, you're going to need to grab some stuff out of your box, but you may also need to go looking around your house. So today we're going to make clay bowls. So you want to look for your baggie of this thing that is white and a little bit heavy. It is clay, real clay. I love clay, so this is a really fun medium to get to work with. So you want to get your clay bowls, or your clay, to make clay bowls. Now, if you want to roll your clay out, which you may not want to, but if you do, you may need to grab a marker. I grabbed these fun little markers for us to use in case we wanted to roll them out. Markers are a fun substitute for a rolling pin. Because we are probably going to make some designs on our clay. I also grabbed us some forks, knives, especially plastic knives where there's like ridges like this. They make fun little designs. I also grabbed some toothpicks because toothpicks are fun to write and play with. And I grabbed some chopsticks because these make both squares on one end and circles on the other end.
Oh, good, thank you.
Yeah. And then I also grabbed some paintbrushes because these might be fun to make little dots. So those are the things that I grabbed from around here, but you may find other things at home that are really fun to make designs with. So you may want to pause the video and go on a hunt, grab your supplies, and come on back and join us. So, but we'll just keep going for now. Okay. Now, I think if you look in your picture, the one that we had in the picture is actually a hand. We don't have to do a hand bowl, but I think I might just for the fun of it, which means that I'm definitely going to have to roll my clay out a little bit because my hand is a little bit bigger than this little square of clay that I have. And you can use a paper towel, but you definitely don't need to use a paper towel underneath your clay. It's really up to you. One other thing that I forgot to mention that I grabbed is I grabbed a little bit of water because we know that here in Texas it gets really hot and a little bit dry, and I don't know if you know this about clay, but clay can sometimes dry out as well. If you feel like your clay is a little dried out, you can take a little bit of water, so I put water in here, and you can just sprinkle it on with your fingers or rub it on with your fingers, and that's going to make your clay moist again and easy to work with. So if you feel like your clay is struggling at all, you can make it moist again. Because I'm going to go ahead and make mine a hand, there's a couple of ways to do it. I'm going to go ahead and just take my knife and cut around my hand. I'm sure that there's other ways that you could do it. You could do it with a toothpick.
You have one.
Does it matter how thin it gets?
Call from a phone at 3:06 p.m.
So, sorry guys. I hope you didn't hear all of that stuff in the background. But in case you did, you can just ignore all of it. Doesn't matter how thick you do it. It doesn't. I usually try to keep it maybe about 1/4 of an inch thick. If you get it too thin, then it makes it easier to break. But this clay is going to air dry.
Okay.
So if it's thick, it just means that it's going to take a little bit longer to air dry. If it's thin, it's going to dry a little faster. So I'm going to go ahead and I cut my hand out. And my hand was not perfect, and that is okay. I'm going to pull it up and see if I can hold it up and show it to you. I put my fingers together on it. And the thing about using clay is that when it's wet or a little bit like it is right now before it's air dried for a few days, it has a little bit of flexibility. So if you feel like, oh, my hand isn't, my shape isn't the shape that I want, you want to, try again, you can always just try to fix it a little bit by using your tools, or you can roll it out, like make a ball and start all over.
Oh, start all over?
Yep.
Well, I think I'm starting all over.
You are.
Yes.
You are unhappy with the way it looks.
I think I just want to I think I would like it to be a little bit thicker.
Yeah.
And not
a
as
good idea.
thinnable.
Yeah, mine is a little bit on the thin side,
But our camper's hands probably aren't quite as big as ours.
That's right.
So you probably will have plenty of clay to be able to do yours and have it thick enough.
Yes. So the other thing that I was going to tell you, I don't know if you want to try it this way, but when this would still allow you to do a design on it, because the biggest thing about what we're doing today is the design. The Middle East is known for, well, I would say, I feel like I'm going to say this, and if you Google it and I'm wrong,
let us know on Instagram.
let us know. Yeah, let us know. Yes. Yes, and don't forget to sign up for the Instagram page if you haven't done it. But what I was going to say is that meditation is an important part of other cultures, including the Middle Eastern culture. And so mandalas and doing those kinds of design work are part of their culture. And so that is one thing about these clay bowls. You'll see in the picture that there's just like some more designs. But what I was going to tell you is that one of the easiest ways that I learned in high school when I was taking an art class to use clay is to roll it out and then to make a coil bowl. And I had thought that if you don't like the shape that you're getting, either using your hand, or if you don't want just to do a nice round bowl or something like that, you could do a coil like this and then do your design on the rings that you have there. So that is an alternative. But I went ahead and did a hand shape. And I'm going to add a line where I think my fingers might be, because I sort of liked that in the design that was on there. And I grabbed, I'm using the knife right now, but I grabbed some toothpicks, because toothpicks are a good tool to use when you're using clay.
The little bit of water, just wetting your fingertip, and will smooth it out too, I think.
Yes, that is very true.
If you like it to be smooth.
Yeah.
Just so you can smooth your edges. Like where I picked it up off the table, I just needed to smooth my edges out a little bit.
Yeah. So I am using this fork to put some designs in one of the fingers that I have drawn out here. And the one thing I like about using the fork is how all the dots are nice and spaced regularly and even.
Oh, yeah.
I think that if you use a different tool, like a toothpick or the end of a paintbrush to do your dots, sometimes you have a little bit more, you have to try harder to keep your dots out nice and regular. I'm going to see what happens when I use the fork, or the square end of the, oh yeah, that makes a nice little impression.
Well, it looks like the end of your cap of your marker.
Look at that.
Makes a good little circle indentation too.
Yes. That's very nice. And very creative. I wonder what creative things our campers are going to come up with to do. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. I sort of am just not loving mine. I'm going to try it.
Okay.
Yeah. But in the middle of trying again, I'm going to tell you some fun facts. So, the language over in the Middle East, one of the languages is Arabic. And I had no idea that this was true, but apparently Arabic there's a couple of words that we're really familiar with: algebra and admiral. Those are words that came from the Arabic language. But More than that, apparently it's the second most important influence on the Spanish language.
Oh.
Which that means that a lot of our Spanish words came from, or were maybe modeled after, either came from or were modeled after the Arabic language, which I thought was interesting.
Were you good at algebra?
Yeah, algebra, not so much on the geometry and trigonometry, but algebra I could usually solve for x.
No.
No?
No, not me.
No.
But geometry, I aced that one,
You did.
but I could not do algebra.
Well, fun fact about algebra. When I was pregnant with my son, his name is Kai, and Kai is the Greek letter for X, not relating to the Middle East at all. And my husband fell in love with the name Kai because he was teaching algebra.
Oh.
And so he used the Kai all the time when he was teaching algebra.
But who knew all this time when we were learning algebra and that part of learning that came from the Arabic language?
I had no idea. Yep.
Another fun fact of how we're all connected,
Yep.
regardless of the language that you speak.
That's right. So another interesting thing about Iran and Central Asia, and Iran is in the Middle East, is that their first day of the year, they celebrate New Year's not on January 1st like we do, but they actually celebrate it usually in the spring on based on the solar calendar. And I don't know if you guys know this, but we recently celebrated the summer solstice.
Yes.
And summer solstice
This
is,
week, right?
Yeah, just this week. When you're watching this video, it's not going to be this week, but
Oh yeah, that's true.
yeah. But summer solstice is the longest day of the year. It's when the sun is up as a really, really long time. And then in the spring and in the fall, they have what's called equinox. And then in the winter, we have another solstice, which is the shortest day of the year. Anyways, so it says that they celebrate New Year's in the spring on the spring equinox. Like that's their first day of the year. So that is something to think about.
So speaking of the sun and all of that, didn't we learn that Morocco
Yes.
has the world's largest solar power plant?
That is true. What did it say? Yeah, it's the largest, that's what it says exactly, word for word, that Morocco has the largest solar power plant in the world, which is super important because of climate change. We have to take care of our planet, and we have to figure out how we can get some new energy. I'm sure that some of the kids may have lost power this winter because of the winter storm. And so that being the case, the solar power is really, really important. So
I think there's quite a bit. Like in my neighborhood, there's a lot of people that use solar panels for energy.
Yeah, you sometimes see them on the top of a person's house. Yeah.
And then in Texas too, we have a lot of wind power.
Yes, wind
Fields.
farms.
Yeah,
the
wind
windmills. Yeah.
With all the huge windmills.
So I was also going to mention that in Turkey, which is in the Middle East, I think that they have a really famous landmark there. My husband says that he thinks it's the most beautiful architecture, like place that has been constructed by human hands. The most beautiful architecture ever. Do you know which place I'm talking about?
I do.
The Taj Mahal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's in Turkey, isn't it?
Think so?
Guys, you should Google that and let us know on Instagram. Just confirm for us that the Taj Mahal is in Turkey. And it's a really beautiful landmark.
So I have a question, Megan.
Yes.
So what we have created so far is very flat.
Mm-hmm.
How do we make it a bowl?
To make it a bowl, the easiest way to make it a bowl is just to, as you're constructing it, like just form it a little bit into a circle by pushing the sides up. Like as I'm doing it with this coil bowl, I'm just pushing the center down and pushing the sides up, and that will make it a bowl. Now, if you're like your other circle there, you may want to do the same things. Just push it a little bit in this along the sides and make it a little cylindrical. Maybe I don't know if that's the right word to use, but give it a little bit of shape just by playing with it. Yes. Now, I was going to tell you also that once you have your designs set, and you are happy with it, you're going to let your clay air dry for a few days. And then after it's air dried for a few days, there's a couple of things that you can do. One of them is you can add color to your clay after it's dried. And I haven't done that to show you. I haven't prepped that in advance. But it's really easy to add color to it. I would probably just choose one color, but you could choose multiple colors. The picture that you have just has one color. But what you'll do is you'll let your clay dry, and then you'll choose that color and use your sponge brush and just paint it.
How long do you think it takes to dry?
I think it will probably be dry in, I would say maybe 2 days. I think 48 hours is probably a good target. It may dry a little bit quicker than that, but you can check it. As it's drying, it's going to change its colors a little bit. Usually, I would say that I think that this clay looks a little bit lighter than I expected. Usually clay is sort of gray, and then as it dries, it'll dry a little bit lighter. This clay is already a little bit light, so I'm not sure how it's going to dry. But once it's dry, you can add that layer of color, and then if you want to seal it and make it shiny, you have a little container of Mod Podge, and I brought it over here, but I left it off camera, so I don't have it. Oh, good. There it is, right there. You have a little container of Mod Podge just like that. That looks like white. It's white like this. And once you painted it the way that you want to paint it, you can, once again, use your sponge brush and dip it in the Mod Podge and just cover your whole clay bowl and the color. And that will make your clay a little bit shiny. So, that is pretty much, I made mine into a little tray.
There you go.
Because I didn't like the way my hand looked. And I made my little coil bowl here too. So.
Okay, so I made a clay.
Oh, I love it. That
upside
was so
down.
Cute.
Well, if it'll come off of there. And then I'm going to attach that way. That way it'll be
Yeah.
two-part bowl.
Yeah. I like it. It's like a little stand. A bowl with a stand.
A little stand from my
Yeah. Well, that looks great. And that really concludes how we make this project. It's fairly easy.
Okay.
And we cannot wait to see your projects on Instagram. So feel free to share them with us.
And then we'll see you next week for another Arts and Crafts.
That sounds great.
All right. Bye.